At our engagement party, my fiancée brought her male best friend. With a look of pure annoyance, Isabella said, "The wedding gift needs to be another $100,000. My parents glanced at each other, then looked at me. "Why?" I asked. In front of both our families and all our friends, Isabella grabbed her best friend Julian's hand. "Because Julian needs a down payment for a house. If you don't add the money to our gift so he can buy a place, I'm not getting married." I managed to smile. "Well, if you're that worried about Julian, maybe you two should just be together. I'm not the one who needs a house, so maybe I should look up Julian's fiancée. I've met her. She's actually pretty great." I'd heard something similar once, from a friend whose wife was obsessed with financially supporting her younger brother. But at least they were siblings, bound by blood. Isabella, on the other hand, was propping up her male best friend. "Ethan, I need an answer soon. I'm starting to lose my patience with you," she said, her hand still laced with Julian's. Julian, who always projected a soft, almost frail demeanor, shot me a look brimming with provocation and contempt. The private dining room held about 60 or 70 people, family and close friend for both sides. Every single one of them was staring at me. In a situation like this, I was the one facing the ultimate humiliation. Look, I could stand it. Your fiancé, holding another man's hand, demanding you pony up more money to buy him a house. "Well, if you're that worried about Julian, maybe you two should just be together," I repeated, my voice even, looking at Isabella without a trace of anger. "I'm not the one who needs a house, so maybe I should look up Julian's fiancée. I've met her. She's actually pretty great." "Are you insane, Ethan?" Isabella slammed her hand on the table. "I'm just asking you to chip in a little more. What is wrong with you? Is that how a decent person talks?" She had no respect for me, no respect for my family. In truth, she didn't even seem to respect her own. She'd always been breathtakingly selfish. I shook my head, smiling calmly. "Bella, I'm not saying this to be spiteful. This is a completely rational decision. We're done." "Ethan Carter, you dare talk to me like that? I'll kill you." Like a woman possessed, Isabella scrambled onto the dinner table and lunged at me. I just watched her, completely unfazed. The poised, composed woman I once knew was now a raging fury. And me, the guy who used to have a short fuse, was now perfectly calm. People are strange. When disappointment builds to a critical point, you don't just break, you swing to the opposite extreme. Indifference. I used to love Isabella more than I loved myself. That's why I tolerated her having a male best friend. I get jealous, of course, but the moment she got upset, I'd turn into a total simp, doing anything to make her happy. She always swore Julian wasn't into women, and his effeminate behavior seemed to back that up, which was the only reason I could stomach it. But then, out of nowhere, Julian got a fiancée, a brilliant writer, no less. Even so, Isabella and Julian remained as close as ever. She'd even say to me, "Julian has a fiancée now, and she's not jealous. You're a grown man. What's your problem? Are you even a man?" Emotional manipulation is a gradual process. Without even realizing it, I had fallen under her spell. When I was sick with the flu, I asked her to give me a glass of water, and she rolled her eyes with such impatience that when she returned, it felt like she wanted to splash the scalding water in my face. But when Julian got a tiny cut on his finger while peeling an apple, she bolted out of bed in the middle of the night to drive him to the emergency room. The list of incidents like that was endless. Call it love, call it being gaslit. It didn't matter anymore. The moment Isabella demanded more money to buy Julian a house, holding his hand in front of everyone, it was all over. She had been chipping away at my dignity for years, and once it was completely shattered, I became a man with nothing left to lose. A man with no dignity left has nothing to fear. Eventually, her family and friends managed to pull her back, but she kept screaming insults at me. "Ethan, I can't believe you have the nerve to break up with me. Let me tell you something, Julian and I never did anything before, but after how you've treated me tonight, I'll make sure we do, just to show you." So I was being cheated on in public. I'll admit, it didn't feel great, but I didn't really care. In their eyes, I was already a cuckold anyway. After all, Bella and Julian were inseparable. When the three of us went shopping, she'd be on his arm while I trailed behind, carrying the bags. If I complained, she'd call Julian her best girlfriend and tell me not to be so petty, to act like a man. When we went out to eat, she and Julian would sit together, and I'd be stuck on the other side of the table. We even went camping once, and she made me stand watch all night while she and Julian slept in the tent. I used to be the perfect simp, believing every word she said, forgiving and accepting everything. But that was the old me. Everyone, I said, standing up. I apologize for the drama tonight. I gestured towards Bella, but as you've all just witnessed, this woman demanded I increase our wedding gift so she could buy a house for her male best friend. I think anyone with an ounce of empathy would support the decision I've just made. My family looked furious. A few of my best friends looked like they were ready to throw punches. To their credit, Isabella's family didn't try to make excuses for her. They were completely silent. Also, I continued, since Isabella and I are finished, I'll be expecting the engagement ring and any other gifts to be returned. Isabella's mother stood up, her face etched with pain. Ethan, this isn't your fault. Bella is just being foolish. Don't you worry. I'll make sure you get everything back. Her father rose as well, sighing heavily as he bowed his head to me. What happened tonight is my failure as a father. It's too late for apologies, but I'll do what I can to make it right. He looked at me, his eyes full of sorrow. Ethan, I've told you this before. Even if you and Bella ever broke up, you and I are still friends. Don't forget to come visit an old man, you hear? I closed my eyes and nodded, a wave of sadness washing over me. It had nothing to do with Isabella. It was for her parents. Her mother was a respected teacher, her father a retired police captain. Both of them were genuinely good people with a strong moral compass. From the day Bella and I started dating, I got along wonderfully with them. They treated me more like a son than a son-in-law. My own parents got along with them just as well. Frankly, if it weren't for them, my family would have never put up with Isabella's behavior for so long. But they were both busy with their careers when she was young, and they'd asked Julian's family to help look after her. That's how she developed such a deeply selfish personality. You two old fools. I'm your daughter. Why aren't you defending me? Isabella, who had been dragged away, broke free and ran back, grabbing her mother's hair. You useless hag. You were never there for me when I was a kid, and now my engagement is off and you're siding with him? Why don't you just die? This was an Isabella the First had never seen before. She had always been selfish, but she'd always wrapped it in a cloak of sophistication. Now the facade had shattered. She had completely lost it. Julian, however, charged straight at me. Ethan, are you even a man? Bullying a sweet girl like Bella? You've been with her for 5 years, and this is how you treat her. He lunged, trying to scratch and claw at me, but my friends immediately intercepted him. Within seconds, my 4 buddies had him pinned against a table. I loosened my tie. You need a woman to demand money from her fiancé just so you can buy a house, and you're asking who's not a man? If I had actually agreed to it, that's when I wouldn't be a man. Just then, hotel security rushed in and separated everyone. Isabella stared at me, her eyes burning. Ethan, I'm giving you one last chance. If you agree to buy Julian the house, I'll forgive you for all of this. We're done. With those 2 words, I walked out. On the way home, I got a text saying Bella and Julian had continued to make a scene, shouting all sorts of insults about me. It ended with my family members getting into a shoving match with Julian. My best friend told me not to worry about it. They'd handle it. It was just a civil dispute, nothing serious. Back at my apartment, I sat on the sofa, staring into space. The love was gone, the caring was gone, but the ache was still there. It felt like nicotine withdrawal. You know it's bad for you, but you still crave one more drag. I knew Isabella was wrong for me, but a part of me still couldn't let go. I bought this place on my own. I had a boss who believed in me, and I had delivered results that earned me this life. I had poured my heart into decorating this apartment, making it a home. But Isabella refused to live here, all because it was too far from Julian's house. She even suggested I sell it at a loss and buy a place closer to him, or better yet, that I should just buy Julian a condo in my building. Looking back, I'd been a clown in this relationship from the very beginning. In college, I fell for Isabella's bright, sunny personality. She was always so energetic and positive. I started pursuing her, not knowing at the time that she was heartbroken because Julian was moving abroad for a semester. She only agreed to go out with me as a way to temporarily forget him. And why temporary? Because the moment Julian came back, it was like I ceased to exist in her mind. I sighed and started gathering up everything in the apartment that reminded me of her. There wasn't much, really. She'd never left her mark on the place, aside from the dozens of framed photos of herself. As I was cleaning, the front door opened. It was a smart lock, and even though she'd refused to live here, she had programmed her fingerprint. She stood in the doorway, her eyes red, and stared at me. "Ethan, your low-life friends assaulted Julian, and you didn't even bother to show your face?" "First," I said calmly, "my friends are professionals and leaders in their fields. Even the one who drives for DoorDash is a top dasher. Second, from what I understand, Julian started throwing insults first, which is why he got hit. He brought that on himself. He deserved it. Third, a shoving match is a civil matter. He can get his bruises checked out and send us the bill. Fourth, Isabella, this is my home. You're no longer welcome here. Please leave." I finished my list and placed a black trash bag at her feet. "These are all your photos. You can take them, or I can throw them out for you. Don't you dare try to reason with me. You're just being petty and jealous. You think I don't know that," she retorted. "God, Ethan, you're so childish. Is this your attempt at manipulating me? Dream on. I won't give in. And let me tell you, breaking up is not an option. I don't agree to it." She pointed a finger at me. "And I'm warning you, you're going to go apologize to Julian right now, or I will never, ever forgive you. Isabella, I was good to you because I loved you. I don't love you anymore," I said, my voice cold. "So please accept reality. I am genuinely breaking up with you. There's no hidden agenda." She didn't believe me. "I won't believe it unless you post it on Facebook for everyone to see." "As you wish." I pulled out my phone, typed a quick post, and hit share. "I, Ethan Carter, have officially broken up with Isabella Vance." "There," I said. "It's done." Isabella stared at me, then frantically refreshed her phone. "Why can't I see it?" A cold smile crept onto my face. "Because you blocked me from seeing your posts, so I wouldn't know what you and Julian were up to." In that instant, her anger and defiance vanished, replaced by sheer terror. She grabbed my hand, shaking her head. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I know I was wrong. I'll change, I swear. Please, just forgive me. Give me one more chance, okay?" "No, Isabella, we're broken up. Please be a decent ex-girlfriend, and let's just pretend the other person is dead." I pulled my hand away and pushed her out the door. I'd always thought cutting Isabella out of my life would be agonizing. But the moment I shut that door, I felt an incredible sense of relief, like a weight had been lifted from my soul. Why was I wasting my life loving someone who didn't care about me? Well, I could find someone who did. Was I less of a person than anyone else? No, I was just a fool. And the moment I pushed her out, I stopped being a fool. I deadbolted the door and deleted her fingerprint from the smart lock's memory. I could hear her on the other side, repeatedly trying to unlock it. When that failed, she started pounding on the door. Eventually, she woke the neighbors, who called security. She screamed hysterically at the security guards. "This is my house, my fiancé, and I own this place. Don't you dare touch me." I opened the door and looked at the disheveled wreck Isabella had become. A flicker of hope ignited in her eyes. "Honey, please don't do this to me," she sobbed. "I really know I was wrong. Just give me one more chance." I shook my head and spoke to the guards. "I am no longer associated with this woman. Please ensure she does not enter the building again." "Thank you." "Ethan, honey, you can't do this," she wailed. "We were together for 5 years. I gave you the best 5 years of my life. You can't just throw me away." My next-door neighbor, a guy in his 40s, leaned over. "Hey man, if it's not something major, maybe just forgive her. Look at her, she's a mess." I gave him a wry smile. At our engagement party, she demanded I add another $100,000 to our wedding gift so she could buy a house for her male best friend. The moment I said $100,000, my neighbor's eyes went wide. After the rest of the sentence, his expression shifted to one of profound sympathy. The security guards, who had been hesitant before, now firmly escorted Isabella toward the elevator. "Honey, it's not what you think. I can explain." Her voice was cut off as the elevator doors slid shut. "Hey man, my neighbor offered. Need me to grab you a beer or something?" I shook my head. "Got work tomorrow, but thanks for the offer. Maybe some other time." Get drunk over Isabella? She wasn't worth the hangover. The next day, I invited all our friends and relatives back to the hotel for a dinner to formally apologize. Many of them had taken time off work specifically to come for the wedding. Some might have been annoyed, but every single one of them supported my decision to call it off. I couldn't let them come all this way for nothing, so I offered to cover their expenses if they wanted to stay for a few days and treat it as a vacation. After handling things with the family and seeing my parents off, they tried to comfort me, but they couldn't find the words. I just smiled and told them not to worry, that I had already moved on. I was about to drive to the office when a slender figure appeared beside my car. She wore a simple white dress and thick, black-framed glasses that gave her a bookish, intelligent air. It was Julian's fiancée, Clara Hayes. "Why did you let your friends beat up Julian?" she asked, getting straight to the point. I blinked, taken aback. Did she really have no idea what kind of person her fiancé was? "Yesterday was my engagement party." I began. "Isabella demanded an extra $100,000 from me to buy Julian a house. Did you know about that?" Clara frowned. "That's insane. If you put that in a novel, nobody would believe it." "It's that insane," I said, leaning against my car and lighting a cigarette. "It seems like you don't know your fiancé very well." "I guess not," she admitted. "We were set up by friends. My writing schedule is chaotic, so we rarely go on dates. He always told me he was hanging out with you and Isabella, so I never thought much of it. But based on what you're saying, it sounds like Julian and Isabella have a thing going on." She sounded almost excited. "Is this how a writer's brain works?" "That's the situation," I said with a shrug. "If you're here to blame someone, you got the wrong guy." Clara nodded. "Okay then. Well, I won't keep you. I'm off to break up with Julian." And with that, she scurried away, hopped into her little Chevy Bolt, and zipped away like a perfectly round egg on wheels. At the office, everyone was incredibly supportive. A few colleagues had been at the party, so the story had already made the rounds. My boss called me in his office and offered me some time off to clear my head. I told him it wasn't necessary, that it wouldn't affect my work. Then I dove into my projects. All day, Isabella kept calling. I'd block her number, and she'd call from a new one. I'd block that, and another would appear. Finally, fed up, I handed my phone to my intern with instructions to screen my calls. If it was Isabella, hang up. If it was business, patch them through. But Bella was clever. She called back pretending to be a client, and I ended up taking the call. "Ethan, I really know I was wrong. Please just give me a chance," she pleaded. "If you just give me one chance, I'll show you how much I love you." I took a deep breath. "Isabella, you are seriously disrupting my workday. Your constant calls are blocking my clients from getting through. Then promise you'll come home for dinner tonight. Give me a chance to talk to you, or I swear I will not stop harassing you," she threatened, sounding completely unhinged. I couldn't let my personal drama affect the company, so I had no choice but to agree. As I was about to hang up, I could hear her cheering victoriously. I sighed and turned to my intern. "Go get me a new SIM card and text a new number to all my clients." When I got home, the apartment was filled with the aroma of home-cooked food. I could see Isabella in the open-plan kitchen, busily moving between the stove and the counter. It was always me who cooked for her. I could count on one hand the number of times she'd made me a meal. After Julian came back, though, she'd cooked for him constantly. "Honey, you're home," she chirped, flashing me a smile. I frowned and said nothing. "Hey, Ethan, you made it," a voice called out. Julian emerged from the living room, with Clara trailing behind him. I let out a short, humorless laugh and looked at Isabella. "You said you wanted to prove you love me, so you invited the two people I despise most into my home?" "Honey, don't say that about Julian," she said softly. "But you love me so much, it's only normal you'd be jealous of him. I get it. If I had said something like that in the past, she would have ripped into me. But now her tone was gentle and understanding. Was she on something, or did she actually mean it? "Honey, I asked Julian to come so I could prove to you that nothing ever happened between us," she continued. "Yeah, Ethan, don't be so petty," Julian chimed in. "Bella and I just hang out, maybe grab a drink, go for a swim. Speaking of swimming, you'll laugh at this. I almost drowned like an idiot, and Bella had to give me mouth-to-mouth to save me. I even stuck my tongue out. It was hilarious. Oh, and one time, she stayed over at my place and wouldn't let me help scrub her back in the shower. Can you believe it? I used to do it all the time when we were kids. So, I help her anyway." He said all this with a smug grin. Isabella's face turned to ice. Clara, meanwhile, sat on the couch like a spectator at a tennis match, munching on sunflower seeds with a look of pure fascination. I leaned against the wall and lit a cigarette. "All right, Isabella, I gave you a chance. You made your case. I'm not buying it. So please, all of you, get out of my life. If you don't, I'm calling the police. I had to admit, hearing Julian's story stung. What guy likes hearing that stuff? No, honey, it's not what he's saying, Isabella cried. Ethan, you're being a real jerk, you know that? Julian shouted, pointing at me. Our Bella is practically begging you for forgiveness. And you're acting like this? You should be grateful. I opened the front door. Are you leaving? Or am I calling security? Honey, don't be like this. Look, I made all your favorite dishes. I held up a hand, cutting her off. The first thing I smelled when I walked in was cilantro. Have you completely forgotten I'm allergic to cilantro? Honey, Isabella looked completely panicked, her eyes wide with terror. I pulled out my phone. Are you leaving? Or am I calling security? Honey, please just listen to me. Give me one more chance. To my shock, she actually dropped to her knees in front of me. Julian immediately pulled her up. Bella, we don't have to take this. Let's go. He yanked her forcefully out the door. I breathed a sigh of relief, the silence broken only by the crack, crack, crack of sunflower seeds. You're still here? I asked. Clara, looking like she wanted more of the show, shook her head. I haven't eaten yet. Not leaving. Mind if I crash for dinner? Without waiting for an answer, she walked over to the dining table and sat down. She scanned the food. Hey, Ethan, come on over. A few of these dishes don't have cilantro. I sighed, washed my hands, and joined her. Clara ate with a speed and ferocity that was almost impressive. She had no table manners, and she clearly didn't care. There was a kind of masculine boldness about her that was surprisingly charming. She cracked open a can of beer, chugged the entire thing in one go, let out a satisfied sigh, and then burped. I couldn't bring myself to be annoyed. You know, Ethan, this whole love thing is overrated, she said, propping her chin on her hand. Most of the time, it doesn't even matter. Like, I only agreed to get set up with Julian to get my parents off my back. And you, I can tell Bella really does love you, in her own twisted way. But I can also see she's just as obsessed with Julian. A woman like that is fine for an affair, but not for a wife. She pointed a fork at me. And you're a career guy. Romantic drama just slows down your sword arm. You need to marry someone who's independent. You sound like you've got it all figured out. A lot of experience. I asked. Clara shook her head and grinned sheepishly. All theoretical knowledge. Julian was my first boyfriend. I'm kind of old-fashioned about virginity, so thank God I never slept with him. It would have been such a waste. You know that feeling like you've been screwed over by a dog. I burst out laughing. This girl was something else. Feeling more relaxed, I had a few beers. Clara was an incredible conversationalist. She seemed to know a little bit about everything. I talk about soccer, and she'd ask why Neymar gets fouled so much. I talk about basketball, and she'd ask about Shaq's rap career. She was also an amazing listener, hanging on my every word as if it were knowledge she needed to absorb. So I kept drinking. I'm a lightweight, and soon the room started to spin. My mind felt hazy, and I drifted into what felt like a very vivid, very steamy dream. I woke up to the sound of shouting. A woman was crying hysterically. It sounded like Isabella. I could hear Julian yelling, something about me defiling his fiancée. What a lunatic, I thought. Claire's a great girl. I would never. Wait, I opened my eyes. I was in my bed. Something was wrapped around me like an octopus. I looked down and saw a person burrowed under the covers, clinging to me tightly. I lifted the blanket and found Clara blinking her big eyes up at me. Seriously, Ethan, is your alcohol poisoned or something? Why do we get wasted and have sex? She asked rapid fire. I read an article that said when a man is truly blackout drunk, he can't perform. What the hell happened? My life is ruined. I have a drink with you, and I get laid. I looked around, completely disoriented. I saw security guards and police officers. My parents were there. Isabella's parents were there. My best friend were there. Isabella was sobbing in the doorway, a picture of devastation. Julian was pointing at me, screaming, Ethan, you slept with my fiancée. I'm pressing charges. Even my own parents looked at me with disappointment, as if I'd done this deliberately for revenge. My friends, on the other hand, were giving me proud thumbs-ups. Stay calm, I told myself. You have to stay calm. Clara's words echoed in my head. When a man is truly blackout drunk, he can't perform. So, was I really drunk? I immediately shouted to my best friend, Dave, secure the leftover food and the wine bottles. Get them tested. I think we were drugged. Hearing this, Dave immediately rushed out of the room. Julian's face went pale, and he started to follow. Officer, I said quickly to the police. The food and wine were brought by him and Isabella. Please don't let them near it. Before the police could even move, the security guard stepped in and blocked Julian's path. Isabella just stood there, crying her eyes out, doing nothing. From under the covers, Clara piped up, "You know what? He's right. I think we were drugged. No wonder Julian was so insistent I come here, even after I broke up with him. He used getting material for my novel as bait. That bastard is evil." "Hold on, big sister," I said, exasperated. "How are you not feeling even a little bit violated right now?" Clara paused for a second, then looked a bit dejected. "Well, what can I do? If we were drugged, then you're a victim too. I can't exactly blame you, can I?" A little while later, we were both dressed and heading down to the police station. On the way out, my mom was pulling Clara aside, apologizing profusely. I don't know what they talked about, but that carefree girl actually burst out laughing. At the station, the mediation began. Isabella's role was to cry, which she did with the intensity of someone trying to go blind. Julian's role was to deny everything, insisting he didn't drug us. An officer informed him, "Mr. Carter has security cameras in his apartment. We're retrieving the footage now. The food and wine have been sent to the lab for testing. We'll have results soon." Julian's face was as white as a sheet, but he remained defiant. Clara and I were in another room, giving our statements. "I don't know what happened," Clara explained to a female officer. "We were just drinking, and then I felt this strange, empty feeling. I just looked at Ethan and wanted to kiss him." Then one thing led to another. She was blushing, but also seemed eager to share. "Officer, I seriously recommend you investigate this drug. It's terrifying." The officer, trying not to laugh, turned to me. "Mr. Carter, and what were you feeling at the time?" "Feeling?" I asked, confused. "Are we allowed to talk about that?" The officer froze. "I wasn't asking about your feelings for Ms. Hayes. I meant your physical sensations after drinking the wine." "Oh," I said, embarrassed. "Right. Pretty much the same as her. The most direct way to describe it is, after I had that drink, I just really wanted a woman." Clara, completely shameless, leaned over. "So, what did you think of me?" I was speechless. Her personality was truly something else. "How dare you?" Isabella suddenly screamed, lunging at us from across the room. "You stole my man, and now you're asking how it was. You slut, I'll kill you." This was a police station, not her living room. She was restrained before she could get anywhere near us. The lab results came back quickly. The wine contained a hallucinogenic substance with addictive properties. Clara and I were lucky we hadn't drunk more, or the consequences could have been much worse. Even so, we'd have to be monitored for side effects. The security camera footage didn't show Julian spiking the drinks, but it did show him taking a call and having a specific case of wine delivered to the apartment later that evening. The police immediately began investigating his phone records and found deleted chat logs with evidence of him purchasing the drug online. When Isabella heard the truth, she broke down completely. "Julian, why? Why would you do this? Why?" "For you, of course." He yelled back. "I drugged them and made them sleep together to give you leverage in your negotiations with him." Isabella gritted her teeth. "I never wanted to negotiate. I just wanted to be with my fiancé. Why would you do this without asking me?" "Because you're my best friend, and I was trying to help you," Julian declared righteously. Just then, another officer entered the room. "We found another video." He played it on a monitor. It was a video of Julian and another man, a muscular guy from a gym, holding hands and talking. "Don't worry," Julian was saying in the video, his voice effeminate. "Isabella is a total idiot. She believes anything I say." I told her that as her boyfriend got more successful, he was bound to start cheating on her, and she bought it. Then I gave her the brilliant idea to pretend to be close to me, to give him the cold shoulder, just to make him feel insecure. She bought that, too. God, she really does love that guy. That's why we have to get them back together, no matter what. Once she gets more money out of him, we'll have more money. And that stupid fiancé of mine is just as easy to trick. I just have to mention novel material, and she comes running like a dog after a bone. She'll definitely fall for it. It all just depends on how strong your drugs are. I stared at Julian in disbelief. You planned all of this? I thought he just wanted to break us up. I never imagined he was after my money. Julian snarled. If Isabella wasn't such a moron, I never would have gotten caught. Julian, I treated you like family, Isabella said, her voice eerily calm. And you used me like this? He sneered. Because you're a fool. Who else would I use? You probably don't even know this, but that study abroad spot in college. It was supposed to be yours. I lied to the dean, spread rumors about you, and they gave it to me instead. I heard you were devastated when you lost it. So, all that time, Isabella hadn't been heartbroken about Julian leaving. She was heartbroken about losing her chance to study abroad. Isabella didn't look at Julian again. She turned her tear-filled eyes to me. Ethan, I swear, I have only ever loved you. Hanging out with Julian. It was just to make you jealous, to make you pay more attention to me. You were getting so successful, so excellent, and you had less time for me. I felt so insecure. I just wanted you to treat me like you used to. She sobbed, and demanding more money. That was just to test you, to see how much you really cared about me. I sighed. Isabella, that all sounds pretty hollow. I never neglected you. The time I spent with you was equal to the time I spent at work. I would stay up all night just to be with you rather than ignore you for a moment. And if you really trusted me, why didn't you just talk to me? You know that I would have done anything for you, no matter how unreasonable. But you didn't talk to me. You confided in Julian, and you believed his insane advice. That, right there, was a betrayal. It's over, Bella. Let's just end it for good. She shook her head frantically. Ethan, I'm begging you. You can't leave me. I'll die without you. She pointed a shaking finger at Clara. Honey, if you take me back, I'll even let you keep seeing her on the side. She had truly lost her mind, and in her insanity, I found perfect clarity. We're done. With those two words, I had nothing more to say. Not long after, Julian's case went to trial. The guy from the gym was also arrested. My friend, who's a lawyer, said that given the severity of the crime, he'd get at least 10 years. I thought that was too little. The withdrawal from that drug was brutal. Clara and I became recovery buddies. When the cravings got too intense, she suggested that a little hanky-panky was a good way to distract ourselves and feel better. While Clara and I were navigating our strange, new, and surprisingly physical relationship, a shocking piece of news about Isabella and Julian broke. Apparently, Julian had a pre-existing medical condition and was released on medical bail. Isabella got into the hospital. She stabbed him 18 times, killing him. She left me a video. Ethan, I've only ever loved one person in my life, and that was you. And now that I know I've lost you forever, there's no reason for me to live. I'm leaving now, and I'm taking your biggest problem with me. But I still love you. I will always love you into the next life. I hope we can meet again. I thought about using this to threaten you. Knowing you, you would have caved. You would have taken me back, and you would have been kind to me. But that wouldn't be love, and I can't imagine the pain it would cause you to be with me again. I can't bear the thought of you suffering. So, for once, I won't be selfish. I've always been selfish. My parents never gave me enough love, so I grew up twisted. Then I met you, and I fell into a sick, obsessive love. But at the end of my life, I don't want to be selfish anymore. Clara and I attended Isabella's funeral. I couldn't find any words of comfort for her parents. Maybe I'm just too soft, but I felt a profound sense of guilt toward them. I even found myself thinking that if I had known Isabella would go to such an extreme, maybe I would have given in, even if it made me miserable. But it was too late for that. On the drive home, Clara suddenly asked, being with me, does it make you think about Isabella all the time? Does it make you miserable? I kept my eyes on the road and shook my head. The past is the past. Thinking about it just causes more pain. Besides, you were the one who said, I need an independent woman. You're very independent. Don't listen to me, she snorted. I said that when I didn't know what love was. Ever since I got together with you, I've become totally dependent on you. Ethan, I'm going to be super clingy. If you can't handle that, you need to tell me now before I fall in too deep. She shot me a mischievous grin. I reached over and ruffled her hair. Good. I'm pretty clingy myself. And I'm not a career guy. I never was. I'm just a hopeless romantic.